Hello, and thank you for joining me. My name is Jenna Glover. I'm a registered architect and director at Epic Architecture in New South Wales, Australia. I'm currently undertaking a PhD at Griffith University. This presentation has been co-authored with Dr. Payman Akhgar, lecturer at Griffith University's School of Engineering and Built Environment on the Gold Coast. Together, we'll be exploring how architects can help drive the broader adoption of off-grid and prefabricated housing, and how these models shape not only the built environment, but also community resilience, individual behavior, and policy engagement. Our planet is witnessing a significant increase in greenhouse gas concentrations, with emissions doubling between 1970 and 2010. If current trends persist, global temperatures could increase by 3 degrees Celsius by 2100. Emissions from energy use make up about 60% of worldwide GHG emissions, highlighting the urgent need for initiatives to decrease reliance on non-renewable energy sources. In this context, buildings account for approximately 31% of the total primary energy supply and contribute 24% to global GHG emissions. Notably, residential buildings are responsible for 70% of energy usage in the building sector, underlining their critical role in reducing carbon emissions and promoting sustainability and clean energy as we progress towards the ambitious goal of achieving net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. In Australia, the residential sector significantly impacts energy consumption and carbon emissions, a trend likely to worsen with the ongoing population growth in both regional and urban areas. From 17.6 million in 1993 to 26.6 million in 2023, and is projected to reach 37 million by 2050. Approximately 1.2 million new homes are set to be constructed between 2024 and 2029, which is expected to increase carbon emissions from this building type. As it stands today, residential buildings account for about 25% of total electricity consumption, representing 12% of the country's overall energy use. Additionally, over the last 20 years, household electricity prices have risen by an average of 8% per year, exacerbating energy poverty for low-income families. This situation emphasizes the urgent need for well thought out and innovative architectural and construction solutions to reduce energy consumption in residential buildings. Although extensive research exists on creating sustainable and energy-efficient grid-connected homes, this study specifically targets off-grid housing solutions, an area which has received limited attention in recent literature and requires further exploration. An off-grid house is a self-sufficient and autonomous system that meets the household's daily energy needs without dependency on government-provided grid facilities and infrastructure. In the Global South, off-grid living often refers to informal settlements occupied by people experiencing poverty and located at the city's fringe. In the affluent countries of the Global North and Australia, however, off-grid houses are often occupied by middle-class, and in some cases well-off individuals who have either chosen this living arrangement deliberately to address environmental and/or social concerns, or have been forced to adapt it due to the unavailability of the grid in their area. The individuals who are the focus of this article are liberated from socio-political power impositions that grid-dependent households face, including the consequences related to energy costs and the lack of control over their usage. They are fully dependent on renewable energies and are highly aware of and connected to the natural resources available in their local environment. They are capable individuals who can generate their energy through tactics emerging from everyday creativity. Exploring off-grid solutions and their socio-economic and environmental benefits is essential in Australia. This importance is particularly driven by the growing availability and affordability of PV systems and energy storage options for residential use. Statistics show that over 4 million Australian homes are now equipped with solar panels. Since 2015, the installation of batteries has risen sharply, primarily driven by the involvement of global companies such as Tesla, LG Chem, and Samsung in Australia's renewable energy market. From just 6,750 in 2016, the number of batteries in residential homes rose to 20,789 in 2017, and approximately 57,000 by 2023. This swift growth in renewable energy options has highlighted the vulnerabilities of grid supply and raised concerns about a potential death spiral for the grid, underscoring the importance of off-grid homes as a viable alternative in future scenarios. Additionally, in recent years, in affluent Western countries such as Australia, a growing number of people have been questioning and moving away from the popular consumerism culture, becoming disillusioned with their consumerism society. The grid's inefficiencies and unreliability amid increasing natural disasters have also fueled a desire for simpler and more independent ways of living. For example, the 2022 flood and 2025 Cyclone Alfred in Queensland resulted in extensive power outages, affecting around 25,000 and 270,000 homes for more than 24 hours, highlighting the urgent need for self-sufficient and resilient housing solutions. Scholarship on off-grid living in the global north represents a small body of literature, with the majority of works published on the topic focusing on the economic and environmental aspects of such structures. For example, Zhenjin Ren have analyzed the feasibility of converting a fully electric house into an off-grid system under current and future climate change conditions. They concluded that large battery systems are necessary for these houses to operate properly. Rajab Kalipur and Anthony Vassallo concentrate on the economic aspects of off-grid living, concluding that widespread disconnection from the grid might not be realistic in developed countries. Jude McHale explored the environmental effects of small off-grid systems for remote rural electrification. They argued that PV systems are environmentally more sustainable when installed individually for households. What is, however, missing in these publications is the social importance of such living and its impact on community, well-being, and sustainable behaviors. There is, however, an emerging body of literature analyzing the social aspects of off-grid living in upper-income nations. For example, in Canada, Jonathan Taggart and Philip Vanini offered a comprehensive social analysis of switching to off-grid, involving 600 participants in their research. They argue that off-grid living is not a lesser version of grid living. Rather, it is a different type of habitation that requires a unique set of material practices and tactics. In the US context, Eileen Smith-Kavros and Ariana Sunyuk advocated for off-grid living, highlighting its potential to shape intra-community social interaction and foster connected and healthy neighborhoods and societies. In Australia, Heather Lovell and Philippa Watson characterized off-grid living as an example of scarce data, advocating for the gathering of both qualitative and quantitative data to understand why individuals opt for off-grid lifestyles. They emphasize that social, situated, and context-driven analysis of off-grid living is just as significant as its environmental implications. The significance of off-grid living as a means to shape more sustainable and healthier communities also highlights the need for architects to engage in designing off-grid structures. This involvement is crucial since architects can serve as, in Bernard Trumi's perspective, a peaceful instrument of social transformation, a means of instigating a new lifestyle, while also being key players in crafting designs with environmentally and socially impactful forms and strategies. In the decades after the Second World War, architects from the US, UK, and Australia, and most countries in Western Europe, found an extraordinary political, economic, and social agency to construct the built environment based on novel design approaches. Some architects were employed by government bodies in the public sector, while others contributed future-focused ideas to the new design of new housing. In Australia, this era became known as the Golden Age in architecture. It was a time when the concept of architecture designed suburban homes emerged due to a growing culture of optimism about the future. However, in the late 20th century, the decline of the welfare state led to a market-driven neoliberal regime. Australia witnessed a shift in design and planning regulation from a prescriptive philosophy to a performance-based approach, wherein all planning controls became guidelines. These new changes decreased architects' involvement in public and housing design projects and replaced them with large developers, who thereafter became known as the primary agents of change. Prioritizing profitability over the qualities of good design and care for the locale. However, as Finn Williams pointed out, architecture has increasingly shifted away from solely relying on commercial commissions in recent years. This change arises from growing concerns regarding sustainability, aesthetics of energy, social justice, community and individual well-being, and good design, promoting architects' engagement in reconnecting buildings with a wider environmental and social agenda. Our first case study in this presentation is the Kunjiwai House, a remote off-grid residence for a professional couple working from home. Their brief, complete energy autonomy, comfort across seasons, integration with the landscape, and a reliable digital workspace. Epic architecture used passive solar design, high-performance insulation, and a solar battery system with backup. The home was designed with operable zoning, allowing spaces to be shut down when not in use and reactivated when hosting guests. The project demonstrated how designing for autonomy is not about sacrifice. It's about designing with purpose and systems integration. Our second case study is a family farmhouse designed for both connection and adaptability. The clients wanted a home that felt solid, grounded, and connected to the land, and could expand or contract based on whether it was just the couple or the extended family visiting. When we used compressed straw bale panels, prefabricated locally, which offered excellent thermal mass and a low embodied energy footprint. The zoning allows parts of the home to remain unused and closed off when not needed. There's also a strong interest from the local community, not just in the building's sustainability, but in its potential as a model for rural development that didn't strain infrastructure. This case reinforced that off-grid homes can respond not only to energy needs, but also to changing family dynamics, social patterns, and even local community interests. Living off-grid changes more than how we use energy. It shifts how people inhabit space, engage with resources, and relate to their communities. This isn't new. In the post-war era, architects played a critical role in shaping housing and public life, particularly in Australia's so-called Golden Age of architecture, when design was tied to public good and future-oriented thinking. But since the late 20th century, much of that agency has been lost to market forces, with large developers replacing architects as the primary agents of change. Off-grid design offers a chance to reassert that agency, reconnecting people to place, making resource flows visible, and enabling more intentional, community-rooted ways of living. In this context, architecture is not just a shelter. It becomes a catalyst for behavioral and cultural renewal. Consequently, the roles of architects as agents capable of steering society towards more sustainable and human-centric futures has become increasingly critical. Off-grid housing represents a category of structures where architects' involvement can not only improve its environmental adaptability, but also contribute to its gradual social acceptability. Firstly, given the self-sufficient nature of off-grid structures, ensuring their unique integration within their surrounding environment is imperative to maximize the benefits derived from natural resources. Architects possessing comprehensive training in passive design strategies are essential for creating context-specific structures wherein the aesthetics of use can override the aesthetics of form. Secondly, in contrast with the comfort of urban living, living off-grid can pose challenges unless the building is thoroughly adapted and designed to accommodate its occupants' distinct needs, lifestyles, and cultures. Thus, a needs-based approach in design is highly preferable, and architects who have the expertise to translate abstract concepts into tangible spaces are well positioned to facilitate this process. In closing, off-grid housing is more than a technical fix. It's a cultural shift, one that architects are uniquely positioned to lead. If we collaborate across disciplines and across sectors, we can create homes and systems that are not only sustainable, but transformative for the people who live in them. Thank you. And if you're interested in collaborating, mentoring, or piloting new approaches, I'd love to connect.